We're here to talk about daytime versus nighttime training, a very, very hot topic in our industry, and one that I think we've been flushing around a little bit. On the town hall, we've never really had the debate or the discussion yet in this depth. Glad to have you all here. You know, we have this summit for the Forever Aftermarket student, and I got 4 really great participants. You probably see that Chris Chesney is traveling. He's in an airport. He just got off an airplane. And as I said, if this was my first or second Town Hall Academy, I would be so nervous about what Chris was doing. I would be so nervous about this really coming off. But now 98. Okay, all right. So we have something happening that's different. That's great. So here's my panel. Chris Chesney, Senior Director of Training, CarQuest Technical Institute. And that's Chris with the picture of snow in the background. What airport are you at?
DIA.
Okay.
Denver.
Lucas Underwood, shop owner, L&M Performance of Blowing Rock, North Carolina. Hello, Lucas.
Hello, everybody.
And Carlos Sabuco from Sills Complete Auto Care Center, Oakville, Ontario, Canada.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Carm.
Hey, man. And Paul Marquardt, shop owner, North Woods Auto Tech in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Did I get that right?
You did. Good morning, everybody.
And he's also a Napa trainer. So we've got not only a shop owner, but someone who actually goes out and does training. And hey, I want to thank my sponsors for the Town Hall Academy, which makes it free for you each and every Friday. And and that would be Jasper and Repair Pal. Now, when your customer's engine or transmission fails, it's not the end of the road. A remanufactured drivetrain product from Jasper Engines and Transmissions will give your customer's vehicle a new lease on life. Thank you, Jasper, for supporting the Town Hall Academy and Repair Pal, the Repair Pal Network. Once a shop passes Repair Pal's certification, they post results from unbiased customer satisfaction surveys on your shop profile. Photos, models, service, and other shop details improve your SEO and help customers find you. Learn more at repairpal.com/shops. Okay, everyone. Okay, Chris, we're going to start with you. We're going to talk about daytime versus nighttime. And I think one of the things that you would love to talk about is, you know, I guess we've got to build this. And we would assume in corporate America or in the training venues that we have is that they're going to show up.
Well, Carm, the fact is we have built it. My organization does a tremendous amount of, daytime training. We do daytime training for large organizations. WorldPAC holds only daytime training, but on the weekends. We hold daytime training all across the country and have for 20 years. The fact remains, though, that the vast majority of our independent shop owners don't commit to attend. So at ASTE, when Lucas was sitting next to me and I made the commitment to do daytime training, I meant it. My team would love to work during the day and go home at night. The fact is they probably work during the day and teach at night as well. They teach both day and night, and some still do. So we're willing and able to deliver. I think some of the challenges with respect to facilities and things of that nature on a large scale present some hurdles that we need to overcome, but those can be overcome fairly easily.
Chris, is the reason that WorldPAC holds the training on Saturdays is that they can actually find themselves a venue then?
Well, they're typically held at a hotel, and the reason behind that, and Rob Morrell, the leader of the WTI team, can attest to this, is they feel that allowing a student to get a night's rest at a hotel and then be fully refreshed when they get up the next morning to pay attention for 8 or 16 hours over a 2-day period makes more sense than trying to ensure that your students got what they needed in a 4-hour period at night after working all day on a hot summer day.
And finally, Chris, you know, this is way above my pay grade, but you know, I think we'd all want to know, is there any statistics out there at all that says that there's the quality of knowledge transfer is better when we're fresh and it's during the day than where eyes are half masked at night?
Well, I think you can assume that. I don't know that we have data that really proves that out. However, I think the real commitment or a real issue that we need to overcome is the fact that we today do outcome-based training where we deliver content in the classroom, whether it be in the evening when guys are struggling to stay awake, or during the day on a Saturday or Sunday, or even in the middle of the week where the guys are more refreshed. The fact is we deliver a lot of content and then pray that they get it and go home and put it into action. So in conjunction with moving to a daytime model, I think we need to think about how we move to a more competency-based mastery of skill model that allows a student to prove that they understood what was taught in class. We need to narrow the focus of what we teach in class and not try to shove 20 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound box at the end of the day, and ensure that they understood what they learned and can put it into action effectively.
Thank you for that, Chris. Really good setup, and I sure do appreciate you between airplanes coming on and spending some time with us. Are you heading home? Yeah, okay, good. Glad to hear it. I know
Yes, I am.
I think you've been out for quite a long time and in a
I'm at
place
the
far,
end
far
of-
away, right?
I'm at the end of a 12,500 mile week.
Well, amazing. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about
I'll
it.
share it with you sometime.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Hey, Lucas, you used to work for a dealer, I believe.
No, I didn't work for a dealer. I actually started in the IT industry.
Oh, that's right.
Before.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was someone else that I was thinking about, but I don't know why. I think because you have discovered that dealers
Right.
provide daytime training. And
Correct.
they see the value
That's
in-
absolutely right. And I've spoken to a lot of technicians, and one of the things that we had a conversation about at ASTE was why is it that dealer technicians don't feel comfortable leaving the dealer and coming to the independent side? And one of the big things that I've heard from those technicians is, look, they're going to pay me to go to training. They're going to send me all week. They're going to pay for my food. They're paying me while I'm there. It's going to be during the day. They're going to pay for my hotel. And listen, one of the big things that I've noticed about that is if we have a conversation with any dealer service manager, I think we'll find that they're very concerned about productivity and efficiency. These guys are at the leading edge of efficiency. And if they're comfortable taking 2 or 3 guys out and sending them to training for a week, and us independent shops are saying, yeah, but the productivity and the efficiency, gosh, is it something that we're not catching on to? When we talk about that, are we missing the ball here about getting these guys in daytime training? And to what Chris said, I agree. We attend World Pack trainings. We do nighttime training as well. And I think there's got to be a delicate balance on, are we going to drop the ball on training? We're not training enough, and we're missing the mark. Are we training too much and not being effective in the shop? But training is so important to each and every shop that I think we've missed the ball quite a bit.
Paul, you're out there, shop owner and trainer. And how do you see this issue shaping up in the future?
Well, excuse me, that's a really good question. I agree that we need to change our the culture of training over in the upcoming years. The way we used to do it with the nighttime training doesn't work, and Chris would probably agree with me 100% on this. I mean, I've done classes by 9 o'clock at night. I'm looking on the outside of eyelids. The guys are toast. They're done. As a shop owner, I get, what you're saying there, Lucas, is the fact that, to pull guys out of the shop does cost us money. But on the other hand, it's costing us more money by not training our guys. And that's the key takeaway. One of the big things that when I talk to shop owners about training and daytime training is that I hear their biggest complaint or their misconception is the cost of training. And to take a guy out of the shop, not producing any money, paying for a quality trainer to come in and actually do the class, this can run up a bill or a training budget quite quickly. However, I think most shops out there don't budget for training, and they don't take into considerations of, hey, you know what, this is just like paying for my uniforms. This is just like paying for my heat, my lights, my insurance. We have to start budgeting for training. We just have to provide for it. I had a discussion with my techs just this week. I asked them, because of the town hall meeting that we're having today, I just asked their opinion. What are your guys' thoughts of nighttime training versus daytime training? And I was surprised on the mixed reviews I had, even from my techs. I've got 4 techs in my shop. Some prefer the nighttime training, some prefer the daytime training. That being said, though, we have to make sure we're compensating our technicians to attend training. The days of, hey, you know what, you work 8 hours, good job. Now I need you to go sit in a 4-hour class, have pizza because everybody loves pizza every time we go to a training class. And, oh, by the way, I'm not going to pay you to be there and I expect you to go there. Those days have to go away. We just have to focus more on quality training and getting that venue out to our guys.
Okay, the argument, quality training, what is it? How do we get it? Is there enough of it out there? Hold that up there, because I want you guys to talk about that. I also want to talk about the quality of life issues that are going on that I continually hear about. If we're going to go out, Carlo, this is going to you. If you're going to go out and find somebody, is that discussion in an interview all about, listen, I care about your quality of life, but I do want to train you, and this is how we're going to do it?
Absolutely. It's the training now is incorporated. It's part of the hiring practice. It's part of the work-life balance. It's a marketing differentiator on the HR level now. It's no longer about, oh, we have a clean shop and we're a great business. It's about, how do you guys train? When do I go to training? Do I get paid for training? Do I get paid for transportation, my meals? What type of training do you do versus where I came from? I think that's a big part of it nowadays.
And do you find, Carlo, that there's more young people that care about that than our older senior tech members?
Yeah, Carm, recently, just exactly what Paul had commented about. We had a older style technician here, worked in the dealer environment and refused to go to nighttime training. So this is the way the dealers do it, just like Lucas had said. We changed this past year methodologies and how we think, and we started onboarding millennials, which has always been a conversation or a challenge. And we started talking about work-life balance. They're essentially, they work to live. They don't want to live to work. So we brought in the daytime training and started talking about what type of training do they want? How do they want to do it? And yeah, it's an important factor when we start dealing with younger techs who want to get into this industry. They want the money, they want to be trained, but they also want life too.
So I want all of anyone who's going to listen or watch this in the video when it gets repurposed next Wednesday, anyone on Facebook this weekend, I want you all to understand something. Carlo made a decision to take his entire team to Vision.
That's a big.
Oh my God, that can't possibly happen. Were you nuts, Carlo?
No, again, it comes back to listening to Carm's podcasts, and I have a good shop friend, Scott Waddle, out in BC, and on one of your podcasts, he says, I took all his guys down to one of the training sessions, and when I came back, it was, wow, what a change. And I said, well, it's just going to cost money, but if I invest into it, I'll get a reinvestment back from it. So yeah, we're going to pack up all key personnel and fly them all down, put them all in separate rooms, pay for all their training, and pay for all their time while they're in training, including the Saturdays and the Sundays and everything. We're going to take everybody down with us. So I think it's part of it is business culture, part of it is training, part of it is socializing and seeing what the owner is going to commit to them, see what they're doing. And part of it is we just can't get these trainers here in Canada. I got to go find them, so I might as well take them with me. So it's a big investment. Hopefully that I know we'll get a return on.
Well, I can tell you, you're going to get a return on investment. We took the whole team last year. We don't have a big team, but we took the whole team, and we are definitely going back this year. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, just the culture alone, the time with the guys, sitting down and having dinner, beginning to have some conversations, and you're away from the shop. It just builds a camaraderie between your people that you can't get any other way. And it was a great experience, and we all came back with something. Right. If just one or two pieces of information that made our lives that much better, it was certainly a good return on investment for us. It was a great experience.
It's a challenge when you look back. There's always people I think listen to these podcasts and go, hey, I'm a two-man shop. I can't afford what you're doing. That's just not me. And I always want to stress to people, as a shop owner, I've been there. I was a three-man shop. I didn't have any money. We did nighttime training. And then we went a little further and got to this point where we are now. So when we say we can't get to that point, I always tell people it's about, you just got to figure it out, because it does happen. You can take time away from work. You can go to a daytime training. You can do some stuff. And I think there's some really great future ideas for training that I think should be exposed.
Absolutely. And I want to say that we started our training experience by going to ASTE, and those people just treated us like family. And the reality is, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't expose yourself to that, and expose yourself to some of the things that these other people can see you can't, and you just don't grow. And until you experience that one time, you lack the ability to see the world from the outside. My shop coach says that you can't read the label of the jar from inside the jar. So that's how we look at training.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great quote. I love that quote.
Yeah, and this is a great discussion. I mean, for me as a shop owner with 4 guys, just this last 10 minutes listening to you guys, I'm sitting there thinking, maybe I need to send my guys and take my guys down there and do that, and like I had said earlier, we as shop owners need to budget for training, and that would just be a budget line item. And we say, what's it going to cost versus what's it going to cost not to send my guys to training? And I think this is a great idea. This is a great discussion.
So there's 2 issues here on the table. Daytime, nighttime, let's call that one. And the other one is just committing to training, and stop letting training be on the expense line. And yeah, it'll always show up on the P&L as an expense, but you need to look at it as an investment. And if daytime training is going to bring us more value, my challenge to you 4 is, how does the shop get over the hill of, I cannot send someone to daytime training? And to me, there's a simple answer or 2, and I'd love to hear it from you guys.
Well, I wish there was a simple answer on that, Carm. It's we got to change the culture. We got to change the mindset of the shop owner.
Okay. Paul, let me build on that.
Okay, please do.
You send someone who needs some really important GDI training. There's a daytime class, and he's going, and you made that commitment 2 months ago because you knew the class was coming up. How do you schedule around that individual? Is it going to be a lighter day, or is anyone going to pitch in harder? I mean, you're right. It's about the training culture inside the place and how we adapt to someone being in training. But isn't it the same as if someone had a sick day?
Oh yeah. I mean, you plan around it, and that's what we've done in the past. I've sent, people to daytime classes in the past, and as long as we know far enough ahead of time, you just schedule around it. I'll give you an example. I do daytime service advisor classes, a 2-day service advisor class, and invariable, just about every class I do, I get 1 or 2 service advisors that don't show up because the shop got too busy. And I sit there and look as a shop owner and going, if you know you're going to be short a service advisor for a day or 2, or if you're going to be short a technician a day or 2, you just plan around it. Customers will understand. You don't need to tell them, well, my guy's out for training. You just say, we're just busy, and it's going to be next week Tuesday before we can get to it.
Okay, you plan around it, but I'm going to lose revenue that day. I can't afford to do that.
Can't afford not to. And that's the truth. Go ahead.
It just we always want to plan around things, but the reality is if your lead diagnostic tech is taking Friday off to go to a World Pack training session or a course, you're loading them up Monday to Thursday. That's the reality check of it. The elephant in the room, we'll load our guy heavily for the first 4 days beforehand and say, no, this is how it is. Let's get it done. And that's just how it works.
Yeah, and I understand. I mean, we had one of my lead techs just called in sick today, halfway through a diesel job, and now it's sitting there tore apart. And we got to call the customer and just let them know, hey, it's going to be a couple extra days. We just, I get that. There's not a simple solution. There really isn't. I mean, if there was a silver bullet for this, we'd have this problem solved years ago.
And is part of the silver bullet, Chris, is that we just need to have more of these in front of us and less nighttime?
Well, I think so. I think the one thing that I would say that our organization is committed to putting groups together that are interested in daytime training in the markets that will support it. If we can get 10 shop owners together in a market that will support daytime training, we'll be there. The impetus is on the shop owners to commit to that. We're committed to it. We're committed to training, period. We take our entire team to Kansas City. I'll have 20 people there as far as my employee staff working at Kansas City at Vision. So we're committed to it, but just contact your Advance or CarQuest representative and we'll put it together. And I know that my competitors would as well. We're committed to it. So let us, challenge us and let us help.
That's a great point, and I want to build on that here in a second. And I want to remind everyone that Jasper has over 2,000 associates, 3 manufacturing facilities, 2 distribution centers, and 45 branch offices all across our gorgeous, great country here. They're all working to produce, transport, and deliver to you the perfect product. And that's what they do best, keep customers happy so you can. And also, hey, did you know that 85% of consumers check prices online? Yeah, I know you know. These tech-savvy users are better educated, say that 5 times fast, about car repair because of this research. Make sure they find your shop by visiting repairpal.com/shops. Thanks, RepairPal, for coming on the show. So you brought up a great point, Chris. Chris is on the move. I love it. Don't want you to miss your plane, man. Private groups. Hey, listen, get 10 shop owners together and let's do this. Now, Carlo, I believe this is something that you're considering, and I've been talking to more and more people that say, I know the training that I want. I've hired a trainer. They're coming in, and 10 of us are getting together doing daytime, so it's high quality. We're all pitching in, sharing the price, and we're getting good. And we're willing to pay. We're willing to do it right. Is that going to be the trend?
Carm, I really do hope that's an opportunity in the industry. I know, just listening and stuff, it's maybe not for everybody, but when I look at from our jobbers standpoint, they know who their top 20% of their clientele are. They know who the ones who are focused. And maybe that's where the sort of the fishing pool is for this type of opportunity. But I think there's an opportunity. We talk, like Greenwood talks about, we're professionals in our industry. And we talk about all these 20 groups for owners and managers are flying all over the place doing these groups. And I'm going, no, why can't we do that with technicians? Our level A+ diagnostic techs, if we could get 5 shops or 10 shops in an area and put them under one roof, and that's exactly what I'm proposing for our place. I'd like to see, a different mindset in the industry is, hey, you know what? Let's use my shop. Let's get 10 of the best shops, techs in one roof. Albeit, let's do it on a Saturday. Maybe we can do it on a Friday. And instead of doing the PDF PowerPoint presentation, let's open the hoods of the cars and let's put these level A+ guys underneath the hoods of the cars with a trainer. Is it a premium price? Yes, it is. Is it a premium experience? Yes, it is. And if those level A technicians, in my belief, come back to the shop and work with the level Bs or the juniors or the apprentices, that's going to be a trickle down within the shop and help improve that culture. And I think as you get those groups together, you develop friendships among those 5, 8, 10 texts, and now they're a phone a friend system where they can sort of rely on each other. And I think that's just sort of the natural course of where I see things changing.
If you listen to Greenwood and Ziegler's podcast that was released on Tuesday, Eric is talking about this brand new concept called a 10 group, like a 20 group, but a 10 group, and he's doing it with technicians. And I think that could be a potentially the future of us. Chris, oh, you got it. Hey, first class. I love it. Where's the champagne? Nice job. But you bring up a great point, Carlo, and I want to challenge the rest of the team to the hands-on idea. If we were going to bring people in and we were going to use some bays, and it was going to be somehow daytime, and it was a Saturday, is the trend to more hands-on what we need today?
I believe so, and I think something that we're going to move to is if we're going to do daytime training, we have to get creative. We can't just do these conventional classes we've always done and try and pack all that information in at once. We need to have pinpoint accuracy. And I had an experience recently where I got to see how other industries train their employees, and man, it's a big difference between how we operate and how we train. And so I think there is lots of opportunity to begin to have some classes in shops, have smaller groups, and have some really pinpoint accuracy on the training we're offering and getting our best guys to those trainings.
Yeah, and I got to agree with you, Lucas, on that too. Most techs prefer to have a hands-on training, and that's, I believe, is the mode we got to start going to. And I love the ideas that a lot of you guys are having on this. Is that we need to maybe do those Saturdays. Now, one of the things we started doing in our shop is I'm doing hands-on training with my guys. We'll take a topic. Excuse me. We'll take a topic. They want to learn how to use pressure transducers. So we'll take a shop afternoon and we'll quit scheduling work mid-afternoon. We'll spend, even a couple hours of hands-on training is worth way more than sitting in a classroom at nighttime to get their hands on the cars and actually see what they're seeing on a PowerPoint.
A philosophical question to you, to the owners here, and Chris, please come in on this. I'm scheduling less work. I'm sending my top tech to classes that he wanted and that I know that he needs. And I've spent a lot of money. Doesn't matter if it was local, if I had to send him away somewhere. In your minds, as CEOs of your business, do you see the investment coming back over time? Do you see productivity increasing? Do you see that knowledge level? Do you see him teaching and training the rest of the team? I mean, do you see a benefit for that investment?
I do.
Okay, you do. How long? How long is it taking to see that, Paul?
I would say it takes maybe about a year or two where you start to actually see them coming back and become comfortable with sharing their knowledge with other ones. Our shop, we do more of like a team-based environment. So guys are more willing to, one guy's running into a problem, another guy's willing to jump in there and share his expertise with that, maybe that drivability problem or that braking issue or whatever issue that they're having. So I see that the guys that have had a strong background of training are more apt to help out the new guys that maybe don't have that kind of experience. And so, we see productivity go up. We see the efficiency goes up. And we have it creates a more friendly of a atmosphere for working in. Everybody just seems to enjoy helping each other out. And you take a technician, in my opinion, if you take a good technician that has a lot of knowledge, he wants to share that knowledge with his fellow techs. He wants to help them out. And so that's a win-win.
I do want to hear from Lucas and Carlo on this subject, but I can't help but interrupting you, Paul, and saying, and Chris, you know this, and Paul, you probably know this really well, when you teach, you learn. And if you could get someone that comes back from a daytime and within 2 or 3 weeks have these mini lunch and learns, hey, listen, do me a favor, go over a half hour of this of the top things you took away. And they kind of, hey, we did this, we talked about this, did you know about that? It solidifies him, and you start building your training network within the group. And again, it's just my thought of how to continue to benefit from the training investment.
Carm, the thing that we're doing in the field that we've tested over the last 3 years is to hold, number one, apprenticeship groups to grow new technicians and to raise our own. But within that, what we discovered is that including the master tech and the mentors from the same shop coming to the same class and being engaged in that same learning process, and then going back and helping the younger techs put that skill or technique into action really drives the investment and the return on that investment significantly. But I'll tell you that part of the return on investment secret is to have a plan, have a learning plan for your organization, make sure that you have your team scheduled for training based on their needs, not based on a cool title or something of that nature. It's incumbent upon the training companies like myself and our programs to organize our training into smaller, narrowly focused, bite-sized skills or techniques, competencies, if you will, that we can deliver in a way that allows us to allow you to assign those to your people in a meaningful way. And then at the end of the day, you're investing in your business plan, in education and in those skills. You're not investing in training. Investing in training is a lot like throwing parts in a car to try to fix it. You're going to class just in case
Without
you
a plan. Without a
run
plan.
into that problem.
Yeah, great, Chris.
And so you have to approach training or education of your people in the same way you diagnose a vehicle with any kind of problem, with a strategy, with a plan, and you've got to stick to that plan, and that requires investment. And you can plan on that at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the day, you can measure it at the end of the year.
You know, it's such a great point, by the way. Tell the stewardess, thank you so much for her great comments there, Chris. We found out that you were on Southwest. I thought you were on Delta First Class. What's going on here? Okay. But his point is so well taken. You know, every shop owner worth their weight sits down with their supplier, and there's the training package. We'd love to get your input. We'd also like to say, we've got your input. Now here's what we've got planned for next year. And what Chris's point, which I think was so perfect, we talked about this before, Chris, is which of my people need this? Do we all need it? And you know, and if three of my guys need this, how do I get all three to this class? How about we hire in? So your part of your plan and your strategy may be to hire in, and some of them may be to go to nighttime, some of them may be to go to daytime, some of it may be to vision, some of it could be to Apex. And a point well taken. Let's go back, Lucas. I wanted to ask you the question that I asked a few minutes ago about seeing the return on investment when someone comes back, they start integrating themselves into the shop. Paul says, I see a 2-year return on that investment. How do
Absolutely. Well, so I think the return on the investment's even shorter, right? And I think one of the things that we've seen in our shop is that when the guys in the classes see that my guys are attending all of these classes and we're publicizing these events. We recently had a CarQuest event in town and helped them publicize that and try and garnish some attention for it. I started getting calls from these really hungry techs who are all about growth and who are all about learning to be better, saying, hey, do you have any open positions? And we're talking about a tech shortage. You want to talk about a real benefit to being involved in some trainings. When you have the technicians who are hungry and who are wanting to learn and grow, calling you saying, hey, you know, when's the next training? Do you have an open position on your team? You know, I think that's a great return on investment in its own right. As far as return on investment with mentoring, you know, we just signed up with the SP2 program. I believe it's the mentoring program is free for shops this year, and it's been a really positive thing. And I believe in personal development. We're employee and customer centric in our shop, and it has been a really positive thing for my employees when we put that program in front of them and they said, wow, I can help somebody, I can give back a little bit. So we've brought some apprentices into the shop, and they're starting to work with these people. I think it's a personal development return on investment for them. But I also think that they're really learning things that they had not grasped before, just because now they're having to explain it to somebody else. So I think the return on investment, long term, yeah, 2 years, but as soon as you start, I believe you'll start seeing some real return pretty quickly.
Well, there's another gem or cherry that fell off the tree. Thank you very much for that, Lucas. Carlo, how long do you see the benefits coming back to you?
The honest answer, it goes two ways. It could be, depending on which technicians go into training, it could be a matter of weeks or months that you see the return on it, or a diagnostic technician could be a year or 2 years before you see it. I find it hard to measure. I may send my lead A to diagnostic training, but that exact skill he learned didn't get used, but he learned something else that reminded him when he teaches an apprentice or he teaches a secondary tech in the shop. So what he originally went for, actually, I didn't measure it, but it rubbed off onto the others, and the other team players started improving their skills, and that could be over a multi-year process. And then I also made a note to myself that there is no return on investment. Training is potentially lost. If you send your tech to training to come back to a shop where he doesn't really know what the path is, like, why am I going to training? You sent me to training, I go because I'm an employee, you tell me to go, you paid for my time. But if that employee, regardless of a level A, a level B, level C, whatever in your shop, if he doesn't understand the purpose, the big picture, the vision of the company, why he's doing it, he's just going to training. And he doesn't know to come back to the shop and empower his other people with the training. And then on top of it, I get passionate about this because in my shop, you come back and then you beat him up because he didn't figure out the problem so fast. I sent you to training. How come you didn't get it done in flat rate an hour time? Well, now we just demotivated him for going to training. Now I don't want to go to training anymore. So the reality is there a return on investment? Absolutely. And measurable time. And could you blow him up and really make a negative impact on training? Absolutely. It's called beat the clock, diagnose it fast, and you know what, you're kind of slow, so we're going to put you back to doing brake jobs, versus letting them grow with that training and saying, I know you're in 3 hours into a safari, but I know you're going the right way. We'll figure out how we handle the shop. And that's, from a return on investment, yeah, people say training's not working. I'm not going to send you anymore because you can't do it. Well, whose fault is it?
Great point, Carlo. Just excellent. Paul, I want to ask you a question. And Carlo just brought it up. It just came to my mind. You're sitting in front of a class. Did you ever stop and say, I want each of you to tell me why you're here?
Yeah, never really thought. I'm sure most of them would say because the boss sent me. This would be the generic answer, and I agree. I think that we need to develop a path for my technicians or for your technicians. I think one of the other disconnects that we have sometimes, and Carlo, you brought this up too, is that we send our guys to technician, and I see this a lot even in my own shop. We show them a new technique, we show them the use of a new tool. They come back to the shop and they don't apply what they learned. And I think even if we, still do a little bit of nighttime training, we as shop owners probably need to make sure that we give them time the next day to practice what they learned, and maybe one of the thoughts is to set them aside and says, okay, show me one thing that you learned new in the class the night before. Show me, we talked pressure transducers. We talked about doing a relative compression test with a lab scope. Show me how it's done, so that reinforces what they actually physically learned in the class before. I do training in our own area, and and I talk to my technicians, and we've talked about doing. I'll take an example of relative compression tests. I've beat that subject up to death in a lot of classes, and almost to the point that we beat it up too much. And yet, when I come back to my shop, my guys need to have me actually physically show them how to do it. They see it on a PowerPoint, but until somebody takes them out in the shop, puts their hands on a piece of equipment, and talks them through the process, they really haven't embraced it 100%. Okay,
so here's a question to everyone. Chris, I think you'd be probably the best to answer this. Chris and Paul, yet Lucas and Carlo, I want to hear from you too. Homework. This is the thought that I had. My thought was homework, and then I wrote down do a case study. And if you sent someone out with the PowerPoint, it wasn't hands-on, can you go out and say, listen, part of the investment that your owner made was that you have to send me a case study based on one of the points. I'd love you to write it down, give it to me. I'm going to go back to your owner. I mean, should training that we're doing today, nighttime, daytime, be 360 degree, which means, listen, you gave me the trust, Mr. Owner, to bring in this individual, and I'm going to show you how well we did because he's going to write up a little mini case study. Now that puts him hands on. Is this a wild thought?
You're giving away all my secrets. Actually, we're implementing that in 2019. I'm not going to give you 100% of the detail, but post-class, at the end of class, the instructor, before you get a certificate, the instructor is going to provide a challenge or homework. It'll be a project that the student must complete over the next week or two. We haven't really established what that time frame is. And then you submit it through our system. Our instructor will evaluate and vet that project,
Wow.
Grade it, and you'll gain points or credit for that project, and that will go towards the mastery of skill and the proof of skill concept, which is competency-based education. So it's just one step in the way that we're trying to bridge that gap.
Cool, Chris. Yeah, I'm. Sometimes it scares me. I think like you. Whoa. It's good stuff.
It scares you.
Oh, I thought you were my friend. Carlo, what do you think if your trainer got back to you and they sent you an email and said, hey, we did some homework and he did good in it?
I think, and I sort of wrote down a note to it. I thought that was a great idea. We in Canada, we have the apprenticeship program. So our apprentices go for a 3-year, in our shop, they do 3 years, 1 day a week. They go to class, 4 days they're working. They do that for 3 years. And the requirement here at our company is that whatever you learned in class, you got to come back and someone's got to watch you, show you, do whatever you learned. So if you learned about parallel circuits, you got to work with one of the guys on a parallel circuit that week. So that way you can get your hands on. But from a diagnostic training, if our leads or anybody's going to training classes to have some type of a homework or a case study, I think that's a good thing. I also think from an HR standpoint, I think that's a good way to tie in a bonus structure. I think why don't we, as an owner, why don't I compensate for ability to take training and put it into a real life measurable tool? So if there is a case study that needs to be submitted 4 times a year, why not tie it to a non-monetary bonus structure? I'm all for that. I like that idea.
Lucas.
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea. And I think that sort of like the SP2 and as well as some of the service advisor training we do now, it has an end of course testing type of scenario in it, and we definitely see far more engagement because they understand at the end of it, hey, I'm going to have to come back and bring something to this. So I think it's a very valuable concept. Sometimes it can be difficult, I think, to administer, so it has to be well thought out and well planned. But I do think it is a great idea, and I think we'll see tremendous growth from our technicians when something like this is implemented.
Hey, thanks so much. You know, at Jasper Engines and Transmissions, quality and customer service is their #1 goal. Their associates take pride in their work, and it shows in the quality drivetrain products that they produce. Their quality and customer service has kept them growing for 76 years. Thanks, Jasper, for your support of the show. And RepairPal, you know, did you know that 85% of consumers check prices online? These tech-savvy users are better educated about their car repairs because of the research in the millennials. I mean, they know more about the problem when they come in or they call you than I think you do. Make sure they find your shop by visiting repairpal.com/shops. Join their program. Hey, look at guys. This went to places like all town hall academies because the people that come on are such givers and they're big thinkers. And this was a more open discussion. I mean, you know, Carm, did you solve daytime, nighttime? No, but I think we had a very vibrant, very wide open discussion, not only about, you know, the value of daytime and maybe where the trends should be, but in training overall. So I want to go around the room. Chris, I'm going to let you go first because that jet may be just taking off. And I don't care if you take a stand, if you have any final comments, you want to chat with each other, but let's try to bring this to
Thanks,
conclusion.
Carm. Apologies for the
Go ahead, Chris.
so apologies for the delayed response. Appreciate the time. Challenge the training companies to do this right. Have a great day.
Okay, man. Thank you. He's getting on a plane. Thank you so much, Chris. Always some great wise words from Chris. We'll continue to go around the room here. Paul, how about you? Bring us to a conclusion from your perspective.
Well, I agree with Chris. We got to challenge our trainers, but we also have to challenge our fellow shop owners to buy into to buy into quality training and get them on board. Like in a lot of areas that if we can't get the support in small communities, it's hard for a training company to come in there and justify the cost to bring in for just one or two shops. So we gotta be involved with with our local shops and get them to buy into it and challenge them to step up to the plate and get the guys trained.
And you all know each other. I mean, the top shop operators. I mean, one of the great here was something from Craig Zale in the chat. We have Saturday hands-on training four times a year with our Dallas BDG. That's the Business Development Group of Napa. The other 6 a year are in the evening after work. So they've got a balance going on there, which is interesting. And there were some really nice comments in the chat. Thank you for being there. A great point, Paul. Thank you so much. Lucas, final words.
Absolutely. I think that it's time we recognize what a value our technicians are to our businesses. And to honor that value, we need to make sure we're providing them with the knowledge that they need and help them develop personally and professionally. I think that Chris brought some really great points to the table. And I think we need to be working with some of these high schools and some of these community colleges, as well as the other shops in town, to bring that additional attendance we need. We had the instructors from the high school and the community college at the last CTI class we did. And you start getting some students there, and all of a sudden it's a lot easier to fill a class and make it work. So it was a really great event. And I think if we begin to work on both sides, we'll see some real improvement in the industry across the board.
Thanks so much for that, Lucas. I know that the post-secondary and the high schools are busy places. They have probably more students than they have instructors. The mix may not be right. They probably don't have enough bays and equipment. With all that said, still that's a venue that could be used for hands-on. If you can't get to if some of the shops say, no, Carlo, you'll steal my people if I send them there. And you know what? And again, that's a short thinker. Okay, that's a person who would short the sheets of your bed in college, and a lot of that think shouldn't be there, because if you've developed that 20 group mentality, that business development group mentality, it shouldn't matter, because everybody's trying to get all ships to rise, and you're pooling your assets. And with that, maybe my final word, Carlo, I'll give you the last.
I see the daytime versus nighttime training just being an evolution in the business. It's a marketing differentiator for hiring. We have challenges finding technicians. I think that's going to be separating you from others, especially if you're trying to find good quality people. And dealers and corporately run automotive businesses are looking to this, and they can do it faster and swifter than we can in some cases. But I think it's about shop owners, thinking outside the box, stop being independent and start working together. And whether pooling a shop, if you got to keep costs down, use a shop to do the training in. But it's once you start the daytime training, you'll see the staff appreciate it, and that I can't put a magic number what the return is, but you'll get the return.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you to Chris Chesney, Senior Director of Training, CarQuest Technical Institute. Our first time doing an on-airplane panel member. And I appreciate the audience patience with some of Chris's audio feed and the fact that he just had to get off, and that's great. So it worked out. Lucas Underwood, shop owner, L&M Performance, Blowing Rock, North Carolina. Lucas, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Carlos Ibuco, Seals Complete Auto Care Center, Oakville, Ontario, Canada. And please listen to his episode today. You just trust me, it's like money in the bank. And thanks for doing that with us, Carlo.
Thanks, Carm. I appreciate it.
And Paul Marquardt, shop owner, Northwoods Auto Techs, Rhinelander, Wisconsin, and a Napa trainer. Thanks, Paul.
Well, thanks. It's been my pleasure.
Good to have you. Come back again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Thanks, man. Hey, have a great weekend, everyone.